Our next guest was raised in the woods of central Kentucky and lives in northwest Indiana now after several years in Chicago. She's published a variety of experimental and more traditional poetry in journals such as Moria, Spoon River Review, Mask and Spectacle, Requited, and others. She has 2 chapbooks, Silver Roof Tantrum from Dancing Girl Press and Darkness in the Tent from Ducey Collective. Her first book, Stone, is just out from Blaze Vox Books. She has some here with her, I believe, yes. So she too has books available for purchase. Please give a warm welcome back to Tuesday Funk to Naomi Buck Palagi. Good night.
It's good. All right, thanks very much for having me back. I used to live in this neighborhood.
Yeah, just turn it that way. Yeah.
I used to live in this neighborhood, and so it always feels very warm and friendly when I come back here. Plus, it's always filled, and people have beer and they're happy, so that's good. Also, just a quick comment, thank you to all the people who came over from Indiana, from IU Northwest. So this is my first book. It's called Stone, and it is a themed book of poetry. The theme is stones. There's a stone in every poem, some way or another. And it's also set in the landscape where I grew up in central Kentucky. There's like this, part of the land, there's this basin field, and basically everything that happens here is sort of in the real or imagined landscape of that area, and people who had some interaction with that area. So I will read you some poems from it. Stonework. Rock and rock and rock and rock. Nestled up against each other, gritty, some a little warm in the sun, some shadowed, lichen covered. Rock walls wend through the low meadow, curving this way, splitting off into 2 here, over there, the rock walls. Not more than 2 feet high, but everywhere. A few little clearings where the earth rises, where we sit. The young cabin behind us has heard so many things. In the dawn there are deer or wild turkey. At night, coyotes and foxes. In the dawn we sit, looking out over the walls, so many walls. See how they wind along? With this slight chill, we might lift sandstones, rub them together, warm our skin with the orange dust. The sun begins to just warm our faces. By noon, we might wish to lay our hands on the cool limestones tucked along the bottom. Truly, the sky a thrilled blue now, the tops of the trees rustling brightly. So many walls each way we turn. Stumbling height. And so most of the poems in here are sort of standard free verse contemporary poetry, but there's also a set of prose poems that are basically a narrative. So there's 8 of them in here that make one little story, so I'll read you the first one. Traveling. The girl shot out from between her mother's bloodied legs, stumbling about, bellowing like a blind bear, shaking her head to clear her eyes that wouldn't clear. She charged ahead, swiping at life, growling and laughing, bellyful at the grasses and leaves that brushed her sightless face. She grew with the forward motion, and nothing hurt her calloused feet. The sun tanned her unharmed hide. The girl made it her business to be happy. The girl charged right into a wall. She'd been going toward it all along, never saw it coming. Just felt the sun in the grass, caressed the jutting stones in the field with her bare feet, till she ran smack into the wall. Bloodied her nose, cracked up her knee. She backed up a step or 2 and put her hands out to feel this thing. Cool, smooth, tall, taller than she could reach. Gently she pushed at the lower portion with her wounded leg. It seemed this wall was solid, down to the ground. And just some more of the regular poems here. The Devil. A brown-haired girl wakes from ripped-up dreams of the long gone as if they weren't. Dreams where choices are laid out before her like a smorgasbord of sins, the devil popping out behind each one. She carries the dreams around for days like confetti, and for days the only way she will walk is along the winding walls of rock, her feet tracing their path like tracing veins in her mother's womb. This one I think is actually the only one that's not actually set in the basin field, but there's lots of other themes that still tie in. Walking to her car, the surge of the dream hits, blurring her key as she jams it in and twists, opening. What if there was a heart with a body, solid like rock? The car growling to life amid night visions, the bell from a strength hammer at the fair continually ringing. Reversing the car, watching for traffic, the bell ringing, her hand reaching for the stick shift, reaching, a hand she knows. She knows dreams are soft as a window pane reflecting her own estranged face. The dreams are knocking her, hurricane, the town alarms blaring a companion now. Every time she gets in the car now, the street lamps looking so tall and to themselves, not needing her to hold them up. Her shoulders not aching as the lamps shed their light. No weight added unto her heart, unto her body with the solidity of sand. She keeps gathering it to herself as the winds keep blowing. The fair bells are ringing. Everything looks like a warm hand. And the last one from the book that I'll read, this one's called Religion. If there are no rocks in a meadow, and we imagine that there are, walls and walls of rock all over the place, winding this way and that, at stumbling height or higher, taller than ourselves. If we see these rocks like a burden or a bed, and they don't exist, not in the way limestone does or even sand, but we ascribe meaning to the rocks. Does this mean we have imagined the meaning, and the meaning is as absent as the stones? The metal pole exists, but we dug it out and put it to the side. A tree swing high enough to fall from does hang from a slanting oak. A gear shift is a warm hand, and clothes do keep cold away. This religion we use for comfort like an unwounded parent. This truly is a hot fire. It is the shape we have imagined. Thank you. So that is from the book, and then I do all sorts of other sort of more random poetry. So I've been doing these multi-voice poems, and so I have invited a couple people to read a multi-voice poem with me. If you guys could stand up, please come join me up here. So we'll skip the microphone for this one. It's not long. We'll speak loud. And just actually, can you switch spots here? Because we are voice 1, voice 2, and voice 3. And this is my father, who is a translator from Kentucky. And this is my friend Jean, who is a poet and traveler. Okay, this is called Planning Chorale. We have not rehearsed this, so haven't seen it before.
We'll let it slide.
So, and if the lines are on the same, if it's the same train at the same time.
To be in unison.
Okay, right, all right. It's going to be great.
What's the tone of this?
Straight, beautiful, straight. All right. Okay. Small scents or elephants whispering through the dog days of night. Pigeons high on the precipices of possibility and wonder.
Wimbledon. Weatherby.
We ostracize humble pietone of the block printer in aster or phlox.
And if this is meant to me,
If this meant to me,
if this meant to me the beginning, not frost, not cold, not even health, but
Beginning. I have beginning and parcels last till we elephant, not.
Forgetting,
Not wishing, not.
forgetting.
I stay elephanted.
The pigeons fly circles over you. It is ending. Wishing doesn't make it so. And
Elephant,
pigeon,
Elephant ostracized for not.
forgetting.
or pigeon for not
Homing.
We have all shied from the mare with high-strung.
gashes. We have all shied.
Shielded by daylight, wielding pointillism, points.
Points earned like the ostrich in the sand. The
Ostrich gone to pasture, fortunes lost.
For not more than this.
dancing.
To that tune, for more than a mile, a smile to rest.
As if climbing from the canyon. Rest.
As if climbing from the canyon, as if.
I do not care for you, and you may climb.
As you wish.
Streams burble.
Into the brook, rocks,
Mossed as with snake.
Or clay, the
Fall.
water.
falls no more.
No horse tongue on the whiskey barrel. No metal trucks.
Metal trucks.
Carrying the white and worm-ridden pet.
An elephant says, not all of us are sisters. She grabs the paintbrush. She
Paints.
paints me, her sister, or
She paints herself. She grasps the paintbrush. She paints.
Herself, or me, her sister.
here we are, homing again.
Our heads in the sand.
And all I can consider is the Madonna.
Crafted by two of our hands at the brook.
At the brook.
The snake.
That slipped from my grasp, and the one
She jumped.
ostriched we are for remembering these.
In the dog days of night, we
Took on water
mineraled from the underground, found, followed.
to the source.
The land.
So steep it was reversed, and this
This was
Was
the
the
beginning.
beginning.